Debating Canadian Energy Futures. While several recent publications have explored potential directions for energy development in Canada, this exercise has been largely conceptual. Few have attempted to design new energy futures. Similarly, efforts to reveal the relationship between landscape architecture and the production of energy landscapes often fail to link contemporary design research with the topics of social and environmental justice, or to broader questions of political economy and geopolitics. Debating Canadian Energy Futures fills this gap by establishing a dialogue between design theory and the difficult, often controversial social, cultural, and political debates surrounding potential pathways to decarbonization. Common Space Coalition Directory. To explore how to engage in participatory planning processes, Common Space Coalition looked to the diverse, vibrant, and rapidly developing Parkdale neighborhood in Toronto. Partnering with Parkdale People's Economy, the coalition developed a digital interactive mapping tool and, together with their partners, held 4 online community mapping workshops, teaching community members how to use the software and opening a space for them to engage with one another. LACF funding allowed the coalition to explore breaking down the barriers between technology and traditional community consultation with community members on the ground. As landscape architects discover new processes toward equitable and decolonized social spaces, the hope is that this project will encourage a new outlook on how we engage with communities, rethinking how we analyze sites to include people's stories and lived experiences, the heart of making cities resilient and vibrant. Land Ed, an environmental education program. The purpose of the Land Ed Green Guide is to provide a landscape sustainability document that supports Canadian schools in understanding and maintaining their outdoor learning space, with the aim to take the traditional landscape handover document and reframe it for accessible long-term school use. Landscape projects at schools are championed by passionate teachers and parents. A high rate of turnover in these parties results in new community leaders missing information about the original landscape design intentions. This guide will act as a connecting thread between generations as students graduate and their parents move on to join other councils. Reeford Gardens Case Study, Jardin de Métis. The result of a 25-year collaboration between VLAN, Atelier In Situ and Uniform, and Les Jardins de Métis, the development of the gardens is a unique project in the professional world of Canadian landscape architecture. The research project aims to document this notion of temporality through different axes, including the perennial and ephemeral nature of the interventions, the history and evolution of the place, changes in the living landscape, as well as movement through spaces of different scales. The working methodology involves archival study, site visits, theoretical research synthesized in text and illustrations. Growing Forests Fast, Developing Miyawaki Forest Planting, Pallets, and Partnerships for Canada's Urban Spaces.
A mini forest, also known as a microforest, tiny forest, pocket forest, and little forest, is a community of native trees and shrubs planted tightly together in an urban or suburban site based on the Miyawaki method. This method was first developed in Japan over 40 years ago and has since been adopted across the globe, helped along by Shubhendu Sharma's TED Talk on tiny forests in 2014. These communities of trees and shrubs connect with one another through mycelial networks and grow upwards instead of outwards, achieving greater heights in shorter periods of time. The mini forest communities offer more biodiversity, habitat, carbon sequestration, and stormwater attenuation than lawns and park trees. In a time of staggering biological losses and impending climate change, these mini forest communities offer great hope. It is time to transition back from lawns punctuated by specimen trees to forests which can be achieved in spaces as small as 100 square meters. Planting a mini forest is planting a community instead of just a tree. Our team at Camp Plant set out to develop resources and a hub for Canadians interested in planting mini forests. With the Landscape Architecture Foundation of Canada's support, we've connected with Canadians from the West Coast to the East. When we began this project just over a year ago, there was one known Miyawaki forest that had been planted in 2016. Now we are aware of at least 36 mini forests planned or planted by community groups, schools, municipalities, the federal government, hospitals, and individuals across Canada. Here are some of the projects that were planted this year. Recognizing the benefits associated with this form of afforestation, or planting new forests, we embarked on developing an online resource that anyone can access. The Mini Forest Hub can be accessed through the resources link on the CanPlant website. The resource is open source, allowing Canadians interested in planting a mini forest to access plant lists, planting details, and learn from others who have experienced planning and planting their own mini forests. We hope this tool will help Canadians plant more forests in urban and suburban settings. We're excited to see that there's a growing movement to use native plants in gardening and other urban design projects. Pollinator gardens, rainwater gardens, and green roofs are landscape choices that most people may already be familiar with. Our hope is that we can help people realize that mini forests are another viable option on private and public lands to replace hard spaces and lawns. Bringing native, biologically rich forests back to our cities and suburbs is just one thing that we're doing as part of CanPlant's mission to help mend our once biodiverse landscape and in the process to help people heal their relationship with nature.
A Landscape Approach from Local Communities to Territorial Systems. Edited by Zander, McCartney, Solano, and Vangeli, and with a foreword by Lister. This book will be published in the spring of 2022. The volume features the work of over 50 contributors, compiled in 23 essays that allow for unique international dialogue between diverse cultural, political, and geographic contexts. Together, they promote a holistic framework to ground local places, communities, and habitats in a broad socio-environmental territorial context. Policy by Design. Policy by Design examines the dialogic relationship between written policies and the physical landscape. The project uses design methods to illuminate contradictions and dilemmas embedded in the land use policy ecosystem in Southern Ontario, and aims to provide planning and design tools to support landscape literacy and policy development. The project addresses 2 case studies in the Toronto region, Rouge National Urban Park and the Toronto Landscape Observatory. The LACF grant funding has been critical in providing tools for the advancement of these studies and will support future dissemination of the work.